Welcome back, my fellow freedom lovers. Today we are going to be doing another this versus that video, going over the Springfield Hellcat and the Glock 43X. The block, but the block we all love. And that's Springfield in that dead sexy peanut butter flat dark earth with the optics ready version on it. Now we're going to get into all this stuff, the range footage, the specs, so you guys can see everything that it is. But before, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Hidden Hybrid Holsters, bringing you that sweet handmade Amish leather to fulfill your needs from belts to holsters. Whether it's treating that 1911 right, tucking that new Army hand cannon into your pants, or just a little bit of leather to go with that sweet 80s mustache, check out hiddenhybridholsters.com or at the link in the description. Well, so why are we talking about these two specifically? We have millions of new owners. Thank you for finally taking your ride seriously, by the way. And we have millions of existing owners and hopefully millions more to come. In those millions of owners, we have a lot of people looking to get into that like micro or slimline compact to make carrying every day very easy. Now the Springfield Hellcat is a very good fit for that, a 13+1 capacity in an extremely small package. Look at that thing compared to the size of my hand. Even though I've got bigger hands, it's pretty awesome. Now compare that with the Glock 43X. It's a 10+1, but I've got those big shield arms mags, which basically turns this into kind of like a, Glock 19 you got wet through in the dryer, shrinks it down a little bit, gives you great capacity, and again, very small form factor on here, a little bit bigger than the Springfield, but still great, and it bears that Glock name that a lot of people out there just trust at this point in time. Both the Springfield and the Glock have very good reputations at this point in time, but they do have very different feels in the hand, which we are going to go over when we get up close to these things. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, give that video a like, and definitely turn your bell notification icons on right down around that area. We're going to get into these things, check out all of the specs on them, go over what they look like next to each other, and then talk about that range footage and how they feel actually out there when they're being used. And a huge thank you to Shall Not Comply. They've taken on my channel as one of their clothing brand members, along with Reno May, Pew Pew Tactical, and Johnny B. If you are not following those guys, Johnny B is hilarious, stays on top of the 2A news. And Reno May is a White Claw drinking dude that just kills that 2A stuff out in California. So check those out for sure, link down below. We are gonna get into both of these things right now. All right, everybody, I hope you are ready because I'm ready, and we are gonna go through the specs on these, talk about them, and give you guys a really good idea next to each other what they look like. So let's go ahead and start with our 43X right here. We're gonna go through these specs and I'm going to read them right off of Glock's website. But first, let's just take a good up close look at this thing and just kind of see what it looks like. We'll kind of go over it. So we got that basic, Gen 5 kind of stipple, no finger grooves, basic trigger guard. It's Glock as usual. This is an earlier generation one, so it has the silver slide. They've got the blackout now. They're gonna have one with the rail. This does have the Apex trigger, and it has a couple aftermarket things on it just to make it a little better for my big old hands. Glock as usual, you got a little bit of relief right here for where your thumb goes, and that's going to be on both sides. And then basically, that's how it fits in a rather kind of large hand, large-ish hand, I guess you could say. Not exactly Bigfoot, but I've got pretty good sized hands. Moving forward, we've got front serrations, rear serrations. This one did come with the factory night sights on it. Swappable magazine release, which is pretty typical for all of the modern Glock offerings. And that's really it. So let's get into the technical steps here. So we know this is a 9mm. It generally has the 10 round mags, but I've got these Shield Arms 15+1 bad boys. Definitely worth it. I have not had a single malfunction. 3.4-inch barrel on this thing. We have a weight of 18.7 ounces with an empty mag. And the trigger on it generally is just a Glock trigger. I've got the Apex one in here, which is a solid upgrade, of course. Overall length of this thing's 6.5 inches. Slide, everything total is 6.06. So 6.5 is gonna be from the absolute back of the grip to the absolute forward part. The width of this thing is going to be 1.1 inches. So here's my finger over that. Pretty dang good, pretty slim for sure. Overall height is going to be 5.4 inches. And the sights, these have the night sights. They come with multiple different versions, so it really depends on what you are going to get. Now, like I said, naturally that 10+1, these mags, the 15+1s, do fit flush. Quite nice, definitely worth the upgrade. Let's dive into the Springfield Hellcat. Again, let's take a really good look at this thing up overall. You're gonna see we have great texture on this thing. It's kind of that sandpaper texture. It's all the way wrapped around, even all the way wrapped around on the magazine right there, as you can see. Basic controls here, magazine release on that bad boy right there. Come up, you know, very good indexing points, both in here for your thumb. Out here on the front of that frame, you can see that depression right there on both sides. It's good. I feel the trigger guard is a little bit more generous than the Glock. You can see them side by side. You just get a little bit more room, and for people with bigger hands, that's good because we're gonna have trouble getting our fingers in here once we make that move from straight along the frame rail. Going forward, we do have the, you know, they say it's a non-specific rail up here. I know there's Veridian makes a light for it, stuff like that. All the lights that I've tried on here, it was not deep enough to fit them. So it is sort of specific, but is the Picatinny width, just not depth. But Veridian does have an option for that. You can see moving up here, it's got front serrations, rear serrations. They don't look like much on there, quite honestly, but they work quite well. This is the optics ready model, so we have the plates. I love these sights. Really, really bright. These are the factory sights on there. I mean, that thing just screams at you when it's on a target downrange. The one thing I would have liked, I don't like the white rear. I would rather it was just blacked out, but that's just me. Coming forward, you've got a little bit of texture on the front of that guide rod assembly right there in case you are, you know, pressing this directly into somebody. It's not going to slip and move around, and it's a little bit of a standoff so it doesn't work that out of battery so you have a dead trigger. Good stuff all the way around right there. Put that mag back in there so you can have a good look at it. And that's what it is in my hand with the mag. So without the mag, I am a little bit big for this grip, not bad. So actually, let's leave the mag out. We're gonna compare size to size here. So let's just get a good top down look here. We'll go back plate to back plate. You can see, obviously the Hellcat's a micro where the 43X is just a slim line. They're both extremely thin. Look at that, my finger covers the Hellcat slide completely. It's nice to be able to have options that small and compact. So look at these from the side. We can obviously see that grip again without the mag. Even with the shorter mag, I'm still hanging over, whereas the 43X, a little bit of a lip right there, which grabs that pinky quite well. Not bad at all. They did a good job as far as sizing that thing. You look at these from the bottom right there, and you can kind of see that trigger guard difference right there. Enough of a difference to definitely feel it. And then just go top on top right there. You can see, you know, the little differences between the grip. You get that big Glock hump sticking out right there, which Glock is known for. Far more aggressive angle for the wrist, and it's just a little bit bigger overall. Not bad on both of these. They were designed for that, you know, super compact stuff. And to give you guys an idea, this is a Glock 19, what a lot of people carry for concealed carry. Here's the differences, you know, in these. Let's just put all three of them up together. Go back plate to back plate, and you guys can see that even just a huge difference between a compact and a slimline Glock here and the micro compact. And it's quite a big difference. I'll put this on top here. We'll do this with each one so you guys can get a really good idea of these size differences between these two here. Even that 43, like I said, it's like a 19 that you got wet through in the dryer. Just quite a bit smaller. Makes things really, really nice out there for concealed carry and all that, especially if it's in the waistband or appendix. Well, let's go ahead and talk range footage. Let's talk options and how I really feel, and do I have a preference on one of these things? Well, now that you've had a really good opportunity to see these up close and kind of learn those specs on both of them side by side to see what the differences really are, let's talk about how these things actually feel, fit in the hand, and what they perform like out on the range. And let's go ahead and start with the Springfield Hellcat. Now, for me being a guy with bigger hands, as you can see the size of my hand to this actually feels quite good pressing it out there. The way that they've done the grip on this with the indexing points, both on the main grip here and the indexing points up towards the front, just a little bit shy of the muzzle, are really good. They fit even my larger hands and give me a great place to index to make sure that I'm getting my side alignment out there right off the bat. Now, it is a little bit snappy. So by snappy, I mean when you shoot this thing, a lot of muzzle rise because it is so short. So think about that 9 coming out of this instead of something the size of a Glock 17 or 19 or something even bigger. The serrations work great and overall really good experience. One thing I did notice is the sight was a little bit off to the left, so I was shooting a little bit left, and I had a friend of mine that's a far better shooter than me double check it, and he was off left as well. A little bit of a sight adjustment from the factory. But talking about those sights, these are some of the nicer sights that I've seen on a pistol from the factory. They are extremely bright, as we saw up close. Now that capacity being 13+1 or the other magazine, which is a couple less rounds, is really nice. And that is definitely a leg up out there for the Hellcat. Now talking about the trigger out of the box, I do feel it was slightly better than the Glock, but just by a small amount. And that's just because of how the inner workings of the trigger in the Hellcat actually works compared to the Glock safety system that they have going on. Now that 43X, it's the block, named a Glock, and it's the 43. It's smaller, not by a ton, a little thinner, a little shorter, little, not quite as long as a 19, and gives you a 10+1 because it's an offset, not a double stack. But you can get yourself some Shield Arms mags and take it to a 15+1. Now let's talk about recoil out there. The grip on this is a little bit longer than the actual grip on the Springfield. Now the Springfield has the magazine catch on the bottom, which gives you a couple more rounds, but it grabs your pinky as well. I feel the recoil is more manageable here because you're actually grabbing more of the grip and not the magazine, which can actually move and kind of give the feeling that the muzzle is rising a little bit more under firing conditions. It's a Glock frame. We're not getting any bells and whistles here. It's a standard Glock frame. You're not getting any index points. You're just getting basic old Glock. The texture, basic old Glock. But Glock is a durable and proven pistol, and I think probably most of you guys out there know that. Now, front rear serration, this has the factory metal night sights on it. Not bad overall. I have swapped out both of the triggers on these to the Apex triggers, which are absolutely awesome, and I have videos on both of those for the Slimline Glock and the Hellcat. Great upgrades, and you can pretty much do those at home by yourself. There are a couple of different ways to look at this. If you are really trying to decide between one or the other here, if capacity is king to you, then obviously that Springfield out of the box has a leg up. Now, if you want to buy some aftermarket mags, you can get 15+1 out of that 43X with those Shield mags, but they're out of stock and they are really expensive. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on what you are looking for. Now, overall feel and function out on the range, I've got to give it to the Hellcat. Even being a bigger handed guy, it just feels better. Even though the recoil impulse was a little bit more noticeable, I find that my point of aim on this is far more natural than it is on the 43X because this Glock still has that really aggressive backstrap angle. So the Hellcat is far more flat, as far as that grip goes, and it just feels so much better. Even with the indexing points, you can just see where even my trigger finger and my thumb just really get into those indexing points and give me a great area to hold on to, a little extra grip to really control that when I'm out there on the range. When you compare them directly out of the box, the Hellcat just gives you a little bit more. Now the 43X, they have a railed version now and the MOS system's coming out like on the 48. So those more options are coming. But out of the box right now, as these two are compared, the Hellcat just gives me a little bit more of what I like. At the end of the day, you probably can't go wrong with either. It's gonna really come down to how they feel to you. I always tell people, get out there with a friend that has one or get on a range and rent one if you have the opportunity. That way you don't have buyer's remorse if you go with one over the other and then find out you kind of like the other one a little bit better. It's like a bad high school girlfriend relationship. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn the notifications on, like the video, all that good stuff. If you're interested in anything you saw here, check those links down below. Definitely check out Shall Not Comply to look at that swag for Johnny B, Shall Not Comply, my channel, Reno May, of course, and give all of those guys some love. In fact, head over to Johnny B's channel and talk about Gomer Pyle because he hates it because people ask him to do the Gomer Pyle impression all the time, and I know he doesn't like it. So go over there, just barrage his channel with comments about Gomer Pyle. You guys get out there and have some fun. Get these things out on the range, have some fun with them, try them out. Even if it's just dry fire because ammo is terrible, get out there and have some fun, and I will see you guys on the next one.